welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Allie.
And I'm Mike.
And it is Euros coverage episode 2. And everything has happened. So we are going to be covering all of the first group stage games. Everything's happened. Matchday 1, over and out.
Everything's happened. We're into it. We're into the tournament.
Yeah, it feels like we've been building and building and building. And now Matchday 1's done and Matchday 2 begins again. And
yeah, no rest. It keeps going. There's no way to get off the ride now.
There's no rest for the wicked, absolutely. So let's get into it and start with Group D. So Group D was indeed the group of death. It is the group with the home nations. And I think it went the way I thought it was going to be. It did not go the way that Sarah thought it was going to be. So we'll start with the first game of the group, which was Netherlands versus Wales. This is Wales' first tournament ever, and it is the Netherlands' manyth tournament. And fun fact, this is my favourite fact that I found about this game, and then we'll get into this game, was that Spitzer of the Netherlands has played more games for the Netherlands, so has more caps than the entire Welsh team have in caps.
Is that true? That can't be true.
But is that not insane? I heard that on a commentary, so I'm going to go with that it was true.
That is a wild stat. But yeah, I think we kind of saw a bit of Wales settling into this tournament, or maybe getting a rude welcome to this tournament. Really, it's a horrible group they're in, and it's a horrible way to start, having to go up against a team like the Netherlands.
I will say, I think for the first 43 minutes, Wales were taking it to the Netherlands. I don't feel like the Netherlands were overrunning Wales for the first 43 minutes. It all kind of went downhill when Miedema got her goal.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I don't think Wales should be ashamed of themselves by any stretch. They put up a good fight. Yeah, as you say, certainly in the first half they were in the game, but I think weight of talent shone through eventually.
That's the thing though, isn't it? Because you look at the standard that the Netherlands players are playing. The Welsh team do have a lot of WSL players, but they also have a lot of WSL 2, whatever they want. I refuse. I can't. And then they have Jess Fishlock, who plays in the NWSL for Seattle. Whereas the Netherlands have players that play for PSG and Lyon and in the WSL, and they had a few Champions League winners in that mix. So
yeah, I mean we've been lucky in the WSL, haven't we, to see a lot of these Netherlands players come through and play. Obviously Miedema has been in the WSL for a long time. We've probably got more of Jill Roord in the WSL than we were expecting with her little spell at City. Next year we'll be blessed by Daniela van der Donk in the WSL at London City Lionesses, which I'm sure we will come to talk about in non-Euros coverage times. But I think I'm certainly very excited about that. And so yeah, the talent in the team is I mean, if you can bring a player like Berenstein off the bench against Wales.
That's the thing, you did feel for Wales in the fact that it was they were tiring out, and then you look at who the Netherlands were bringing on, and you did feel for them. For example, Kerry Holland put in such a shift for Wales. So let's focus on Wales and then we'll talk about the Netherlands.
Absolutely.
But Holland put in such a shift, literally ran herself into the ground. But then, so you're already knackered, and then the Netherlands are we'll put on, a player that's won many leagues. We'll put on a player that, has played in the Champions League multiple times just for fun. So let's talk about Wales, because they set up quite defensively, which you would. Fishlock was their only outlet up front. Mistake?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you phrased it as a lot of players in the WSL and WSL, I'll call it the WSL 2 for the sake of inconsistency, and then Jess Fishlock is out playing in Seattle, because I don't think she's racked up a huge number of minutes in Seattle this season, and it has a bit of a similar vibe to in the Men's World Cup, Gareth Bale kind of making his way to the big tournament in the end. And I don't begrudge Jess Fishlock at all. I'm sure she absolutely deserves to be in this tournament. She's contributed such a massive amount to Welsh football and women's football in general. She absolutely deserves her moment in the spotlight, and to lead Wales to this first ever major tournament, but she is 38 years old, and you could definitely see that a little bit.
Yeah, she is the oldest player currently in this tournament. But you said you don't begrudge it because she is a legend of the game. And no, it's her and like Sophie Ingle who's managed to battle back from an ACL to be included. We didn't see her this time round. She was bench and didn't come off. But you definitely don't grudge them it. It did feel a bit like all of the work and then there was no one on the out. I saw a tweet about Denmark that I think can sum up here, which was what Denmark need is Pernille Harder to get on the end of Pernille Harder's crosses. And I felt like for this one, it was Kerry Holland needs to get on the end of Kerry Holland's crosses because she was putting some great balls into that Netherlands box, but there was no one to receive them.
Yeah, if they had a couple more Kerry Hollands knocking around, I'm sure they'd be grateful. And yeah, I think it's important as well to not be kind of too patronising about it. Like Wales are a proper national outfit that are here on merit. Like, yeah, well, I don't think we're trying to be patronising with it.
No, not at all. I honestly, and I'll say this when we come on to the England game, I thought Wales played better against the Netherlands than England played against France. I thought Wales, they managed to, actually string some passes together. Defensively, they were really good. Like, genuinely, like, until that goal went in, you honestly could see them nicking something out of this. I thought Gemma Evans had a phenomenal game. Like, she was in the right place at the right time most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, she was so on it defensively. Olivia Clark, the goalkeeper, made some spectacular saves to deny the Netherlands in the first half. Honestly, like, they played phenomenal. And this is a plea to the Welsh FA, fund these girls more. Like, this is the first time that we're seeing that this team are a professional outfit. I tell the story all the time, but I saw Wales in the England-Welsh qualifier for the 2019 World Cup, and it was when the Welsh team literally didn't have the names on the back of the shirts. They literally, so that they could literally throw the shirts at whoever was, you're the number one today, you're the number two, you're the number thing. So to come from that to having a really decent showing in their first like competitive tournament, Wales should be very, very proud of what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just seen the stat that you were referencing earlier flash up, because it's not that Spitzer has more caps than the Welsh squad has caps. It's that Spitzer has played more games than Wales, the country, in history.
Well, there we go.
So yeah, like that, to put it in that context.
See, that stat is just insane, regardless of what way round it is. That's just insane. So Wales knew this was going to be hard because they are in the group of death. Is there positives for them when they take into their game against France next?
I mean, there are definitely positives, right? I mean, they weren't thrashed. I mean, is the positive, We've seen much bigger hidings in women's football. We've seen much bigger hidings in women's football major tournaments. They've come through with pride. They've dipped their toe into the deep pool of international women's football, and they've not embarrassed themselves at all. There's definitely points they can take away and improve on, and I think they'll definitely be up for the game against England at the end of the group cycle, and that's got to be what they're targeting, right? A strong performance there has to be the aim.
100%. So let's talk about this Netherlands team, because this Netherlands team was just silly. Like, I'm looking at the lineup and the people they can bring on. It was just silly, and they were getting frustrated in that first half. You could see it. Giroud hit the woodwork, I think, twice before a goal went in, and they were playing some absolutely lovely, lovely football, but they were getting frustrated by the Welsh.
Yeah, as you say, they rattled the crossbar a couple times. They probably could have scored before Miedemar eventually put it in. And we should probably talk about how great a goal that was as well, because that's some special work.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It was a quintessential Viv goal. Like, it was it was that she faked twice. She did two dummies and then hit it, and it just went curling into that top right-hand corner. Like, it was just the most quintessential Vivian Miedemar goal I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's a long, when she eventually hangs up her boots, there's going to be a long series of highlight reels documenting goals that looked suspiciously like that one, and I'll watch them all again and again.
Again, crazy stat. She scored 100 goals in, I think it's like 125 appearances for the Netherlands.
Yeah, and who knows how many more she can go on to score.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to rest at 100 this tournament.
No, I think she'll want to add to that by the end of the month.
Yeah, it was also a big thing because obviously this is only her second appearance in the Netherlands team since coming back from the injury that kept her out of the City squad for the last part of the season. So do we think we're going to see an even more improved Viv? Because she only played, I believe, 60 odd minutes. They took her off at 71. She played 71 minutes.
Yeah, and I think she will improve as the tournament goes on if she can stay fit, and hopefully she does. And I guess we've talked about the number of the players that the Netherlands can bring off the bench in this game, and that it helps as well because that means they can rest her, they can rotate her, they don't have to leave her out there on the field for 90 minutes of every game. They can be a bit smarter with it, where other countries maybe don't have that luxury quite so much when they've got a player of that kind of talent.
So Netherlands went in 1-0 at halftime. That obviously is a huge boost for them. And then let's just quickly talk about their goals before we move on to the other game in this group. Van der Donk got 2 assists. She got the assist for the Viv goal and she got the assist for Palova's goal. Again, I think that was just a switch off by the Welsh defence, but it was a lovely goal.
Yeah, again, another lovely goal. But yeah, I think you're right. Like pressure tells at a certain point. They can only do so much Wales to keep them quiet, and eventually a player with Van der Donk's quality is going to find a way through.
Yep. And then the third goal, I felt that one, the third goal was a bit of they shot on hope, the Netherlands, and it went in. But it stood the Netherlands well because in a lot of previews, they were the team to finish third and not qualify for this tournament. So this has laid down a marker.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be happy going into the hotel tonight. They've done what they needed to do. They've come through it presumably without exerting themselves too much, without tiring themselves out too much, and they'll be very happy with what they saw tonight as well, I think.
Oh yes, absolutely. Anything else on this game, or should we move on to England?
Don't think so. I think we can move on.
Nope. Let's move on. So the second game in this group was England versus France. England are the current title holders. However, it did not go to plan. If anybody's listening to this, it was France 2, England 1. Where to begin? Do you
want to talk about offsides? We love talking about offsides.
Yeah, let's talk about... Do you want to talk England or France first?
Let's talk England first. Go on.
Yes.
Let's indulge ourselves a little bit.
Okay, let's talk England. The first 5 minutes was great. And then it went downhill. So, the first 5 minutes, they were taking it to France. They had some great opportunities. Lauren James was back in the starting lineup and was causing France a load of problems because she was dragging defenders away, which was allowing Mead and Russo to get in. And then they had what they thought was the opener. Russo fired in from Hemp's saved shot, and then it got called back for an offside, which I don't understand. Mike, can you explain to me why that was offside?
Can I explain it to you? Well, I guess the answer is that she was fractionally ahead of the French defender, but the graphic did quite a poor job of relaying that. I think we should try. At least I'm going to try to not bash the referee too much, because I don't think that's why England lost this game, and I'm not going to try and hide behind it.
No, she didn't have the greatest game, but no, it was not the ref's fault.
It was a tough one to take, certainly. I think we agreed that actually we felt it looked more offside on the camera shot on the TV than it did with the specialist graphic, the semi-automated offside graphic that they put up sometime later. So I wasn't annoyed about it initially, and then the second graphic came out, and it was harder to swallow. It's frustrating, but I mean, them's the breaks, I guess. But I think it is worth talking about the way James played in the lead up to that goal, even though it was disallowed. The way she would drop deep and pick up the ball at the left back position. She did it earlier in the game in the right back position. She was covering every blade of grass on the pitch in that early start, and it felt like something was happening. It felt like we'd both been very worried in the build-up to the tournament about England's chances, and those worries had started to recede a little bit as that goal went in, even though it was ruled out. It felt like a building block that we could move on from.
You literally said to me, oh, well, we'll just have to do it again. And I honestly thought we could.
I was young and innocent back then.
Yeah, because they were playing well. And then, I mean, it's two-pronged because France grew into the game, but England seemed to forget what football was. And I'm being mean. I'm aware I'm being mean. But the fact of the matter is that they could barely string two passes together. They constantly lost possession. And they were outrun by this French team.
Yeah, outrun and outfought as well. They were painfully lacking in physicality.
That was it, wasn't it? There was no physicality on this England squad because, again, I don't want to be too mean. I don't, but it was like Carter was outpaced. Bronze was outpaced. And Bronze is never normally like, if she can't get you by pace, she'll get you physically because she's a very physical player. Was easily outmaneuvered by this French side. Walsh, and I'm aware she scored, but Walsh nullified herself out of this game because I don't think she strung a successful pass at all.
I do wonder about how England set up in this game, though. I think at the start, I was kind of distracted by the dazzling bright lights of Lauren James. Hampton was kicking it long quite a lot. There was definitely kind of a reticence to play out from the back. I know this podcast has a fractious relationship with the concept of playing out from the back. But
you say this podcast, it's me.
Yeah, exactly.
I have issues with this.
And it looks scary when it goes wrong, but that none of these players are used to playing long ball football. There is no major club in the WSL where these players have come from that is playing long ball football. I don't know how regularly at Bayern Munich, Georgia Stanway is having to deal with having it hammered into her on the centre circle and having to chest it down and bring it out, That's not how major teams at the top level of this game play football anymore. And so that did seem a slightly odd thing to be happening.
Yeah, it felt like she didn't trust her defenders. And when we talk about France, she has good reason to not trust her defenders. But I know it's a new centre-back pairing with Williamson and Greenwood. I don't think Serena got the team right. In all honesty, I would have pushed Greenwood out. She's a much better left-back than she's a centre-back. And then you've got Maya Le Tissier.
Yeah, it's interesting. I go back and forth on whether to blame it on personnel or to blame it on the system. Because again, I don't know if we're stuck in 2022 brain that, I can't look past the way Stanway and Walsh played in 2022. And so the idea of replacing them feels odd, but it feels odd to me as well that Grace Clinton isn't getting a run in this midfield. I know Stanley was injured and that's why that was kind of her let in, but feels like she probably has a place in there. And we did seem a bit brighter when Ella Toone came on as well. England were very much outnumbered in the midfield for the first 80 minutes, and that really kind of showed through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's just talk about the goal and then we can talk about France. As I said in the build-up when I was talking to you, is I'd been messaging my mother all throughout this game and I've been complaining about Walsh not stringing a pass together and that she needed to come off. And then she scored the wonder goal and my mum was like, "You were saying?" And I was like, sometimes someone does a thing.
I did enjoy that. I don't know if you caught it on the TV, but Michelle Adjemang, who just come on at that point, and we'll talk about her in a second as well, but she was carrying a note that she handed over, I think, to either to Lucy Bronze or to Kira Walsh. And I'd love to know what was on the note, because it can't possibly have been that.
That's good. Yeah, it can't have it's just been Kira shoot.
Kira have a crack can't have been what's on the note, because she hadn't scored at all for England until quite recently, right?
Yeah, I was going to say she literally got her first goal for England like a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so keep them coming, Kira, I guess is what we're saying.
Yeah, you know what? Why not? Like, if that's where it's going. But it was a great goal. I thought bringing Michelle on was a great shout. I thought it was too late. Like, why are you bringing her on the 86th minute?
Yeah, I will say that I think, to give credit to Serena, I thought she made her changes proactively in this game. It was good to get players on. I think it would have been easy to let it drift even further, to go to 70 minutes without making a change. When you look at the players that are on there, as you say, when you look at the players that were out there, it feels like that should be a good team. The names look like a team, but they weren't playing like a team. And so I think it's good that Serena was happy to make a change quite quickly in the second half.
So the only one that I was a bit confused by was Lauren James for Ella Toon. Do you think that's managing minutes?
Yeah, I think she wanted to get Toon on in the midfield. I reckon probably if James wasn't managing her minutes, she'd take Hemp off instead and leave James out there, or find a way to keep James out there. But I think the last thing England needed this tournament is for James to go down 75 minutes into this game and be out for the rest of the tournament. That would have been a disaster. That would have made what was already quite a bad night for England into a real crisis point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's bring it a bit more positive, because to be honest, this French team was the French team I was talking about. I literally said in the build-up, France are going to be dangerous. We need to watch out for them. And they were phenomenal.
I love this French side. I love all French teams, really. But the way this France team are set up and the way France have kind of moved on from their darker period.
Yeah.
It shows other teams what they maybe should be looking to do moving forward.
Well, I tweeted about this on our account saying that you should take a shot every time they mention that Renard is not in this squad. And you would be hammered by now, because that's all the commentators could talk about was the fact. But I don't think they missed her at all. They were dynamic. They were fast. I thought Diamelda, the number 5, was phenomenal on that wing. Outpaced, outclassed anybody that she came up against. Cascarino outpaced Carter every single time. She gave so many problems on that side.
Oh yeah, completely. But I think as well, you mentioned leaving out Renard. I mean, what a show of faith in the players in the players that you're going to choose moving forward. To say, you know, I know we have one of the best players of her era, of her generation.
Yep.
We don't need you're my people, and we're gonna go do something special. And I'd like to see them do it, but we'll see.
Yeah, they genuinely played phenomenal. And again, it was the same thing as we saw with the Netherlands, is the fact that you've knackered out your opponents, and then you're like, do you know what? I'm going to put Melvin Mallard on for fun, you know, see what she can do. We're going to put on Diani just to see what she can do. Like, the strength and depth of this French side is extraordinary.
Yeah, and like, it was really nice to see Katoto get her goal. This game, she obviously went down with an ACL injury in the last Euros against Belgium, if you remember that, and because of the compressed cycle with the delayed Euros and the World Cup coming the summer after, so she actually missed the Euros and the World Cup through that injury. So it was really nice to see her get her shine in this tournament as well, and she's got some strong competition to hold off and to keep that number 9 spot. So I think she'll have appreciated that goal.
I was going to say, she's definitely made herself a case for her to keep that spot. But to be honest, I can't find a flaw in this French side. The fact that they just cut out every single attack that England tried to do.
Yeah, no, they were better than England in every position on the pitch in this game. I don't think that's in doubt at all.
No. So the next games for this group, it's going to be Wales versus France, and it's going to be the England versus the Netherlands. These shall be intriguing, because if England lose to the Netherlands, they're done. Like, there is no coming out of that.
Yeah, it's a must win, a big must win.
Must win. And Wales, I want to see the same fight and fire they had in the first half against the Netherlands. Be interesting to see how they come up against this French team.
Okay, and moving on to Group C, which saw Denmark defeated 1-0 by Sweden in a game that wasn't the most riveting of spectacles. I think it's fair to say.
To be honest, it really wasn't. And it was one of those ones where I was like, again, they are a team. These two teams both remind me of Norway in the fact that on paper, they have phenomenal talent. It was so like up and down, pinging back and forth. One having a shot and not really doing anything with it. The other one having a shot and not really do anything with it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I hadn't really thought about Sweden until this game was on my television, which surprised me a little bit, actually, that I hadn't thought about them, because I went back and double-checked their record, and their record in recent tournaments is really good.
Yeah, we like to call them the bridesmaid, never the bride, because they come really close a lot of the time and then don't.
Because, yeah, they are, as you say, they are the bridesmaids, but never the bride. And it feels to me like a little bit of like a last roll of the dice in this tournament for Sweden. Not necessarily in terms of age profile, but just in terms of like direction of women's football in a way, that in the same way that it's kind of moved away from Norway. I feel like we're looking at the favourites for this tournament are teams with strong domestic leagues and players playing in their domestic leagues. And that's not really Sweden anymore.
I couldn't agree more because, yeah, for years, like Linköping were a huge team in Sweden and in the Champions League. And you're right, all these players now pretty much play all of their football. Most of them in Europe. A couple do play in the NWSL, but don't play in Sweden.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting direction of travel, isn't it, I guess? Where is it possible for Sweden to still compete? Their odds aren't very high with the bookmakers, if that's what you believe. I've not really seen them be talked about massively as title challengers this time round, which their record suggests they probably should be if their form in previous tournaments anything to go by. So are we seeing kind of a rather than what we kind of think we're seeing, which is they're bridesmaids but never brides? Are we actually seeing a gradual decline in finishing position until we're not seeing them hit those heights anymore?
Yeah, like I will say they were the better of the two sides, but to be honest, that doesn't really say much. All of their real opportunities came from Angeldal, and she was the one that got the goal in the end. Like, felt very much she was just wearing down the Danish defense until she finally got her goal. But I do think Sweden were the better of the sides. We talked about like Jess Fishlock in the beginning, one about being, stalwart. Aslani, still captain, still up there for Sweden. I feel like they've not done what France have done, which is they're still keeping that old guard, and that's going to be to their detriment.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of players who we've seen a lot of. Yeah, whether this is a kind of a last hurrah for this team, we'll kind of have to wait and see. I recognise it's the first game of the tournament, so I'm not going to go too big on that.
Moving very swiftly on to Denmark, I will say that I thought they put a valiant effort, but it's, as my previous comment said, Denmark need Pernille Harder to get on the end of Pernille Harder's crosses. It felt very much that she was a lone force up front.
Yeah, no, very much so. They need a couple more of them. They just felt a little bit worse off than Sweden kind of across the board, didn't they, really?
So let's talk about the next game. Germany versus Poland. Germany took it 2-0, but they did suffer a huge loss in Julia Gwyn went down quite early. Basically, she went for a ball and she went one way and her leg went the other way. And it's now been announced that she has torn her MCL. It's not a complete tear from what they're saying. So they are saying weeks rather than like months / a year. It looks like so it's a tear rather than a rupture. But her Euros is over.
Yeah, it was a real heartbreaker to watch, and it was pretty clear from the moment it happened that she wasn't going to be carrying on in this game and probably not the tournament, and that's kind of come to pass. A real shame, because we want to see the best players playing in these tournaments.
It's also really sad because obviously she missed out because of an ACL in the previous Euros. She's missed out of World Cups because of an ACL, so she's done her ACL in twice. You do feel so bad.
Yeah, heartbreaker.
But Germany were looking really scary out there. And like, yes, this is Poland, who are the other tournament debutantes. This is the first tournament Poland have ever qualified for. But Germany was clinical.
Yeah, they're professional. They did what they needed to do in this game, for sure.
So, first goal came from Brand. Absolute rocket. Like, no, again, it was a bit like Miedemar's goal in the fact that it was just so beautiful and just an absolute rocket of a goal that the goalkeeper had no chance of getting.
Yeah, a real banger. And I think to give Poland their flowers a little bit here, because we're probably not going to mention them that much as the tournament goes on, but they were really solid and structured in their defence as Germany were coming forward, and so it needed to be a good goal to kind of break the deadlock. My wife isn't a big football fan, but she's really taken to heart the concept of there being lines teams and triangles teams. She wasn't watching this game with me, sadly, because she'd have loved the lines that Poland were making. They were very banker 4-1, banker 4-1, and they really made life difficult for Germany. But eventually they made it through.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I will say both goals for Germany were absolute screamers, and it wasn't a defensive breakdown. It was literally they shot from outside the box, and the goalkeeper got a hand to the second one, but there was nothing she could do really. I think again, it's the same as with Wales. Poland really put on a really good showing. Like, there is nothing to be embarrassed about losing 2-0 to Germany.
No, and they've definitely set themselves up as well, because they also have, in Payol, they also have a player up top who is in peak of her kind of powers a little bit more. And so you'd think coming up against slightly lower ranked opponents than Germany, they could make a dent against a Denmark, certainly.
Well, that's the game that I'm excited about. That's going to be the last game. So they've actually got Sweden next, which again will be interesting, because even though Sweden won and second in the group, as we said, they weren't convincing. And a really tight Polish defence is going to frustrate Sweden.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really interesting game. And I found myself cheering on for Poland quite a lot in this game. And so I've...
Yeah, I was very much cheering on Poland. Not because I completely forgot our goalkeeper, West Ham's goalkeeper, was their number one. I was like, she's having a blinder. I wonder who she plays for. And then I was like, that's your goalkeeper, you idiot.
It was lovely to see Vicky Lasada doing punditry as well. Just a little Brighton. I'm always looking out for a Seagulls connection in across the tournament, whether that's on the pitch or in the punditry room. So
yes, and her lovely wife was on comms.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
For the action, it was Emma Byrne was on comms, and because I was like, oh, it's Emma Byrne, and then they went to the studio and went, oh, it's Vicky Lasada. I was like, I see.
So it's a little date night.
It's a little date night. I was like, I see. Okay, that's how that's going. But yeah, if you're not getting the UK coverage, I feel sorry for you, because we've actually got some really good coverage going on. I'm very excited. Me and Mike are teasing about we're going to do a Patreon about the Lioness adverts that we're seeing.
Yeah, that is the coverage is pretty good, but the adverts are something else.
And then finally to Group B, and it was Italy versus Belgium, Spain versus Portugal. Now, it must be said that Portugal were playing under some very difficult circumstances, because they were playing on the day it was announced that Diego Jota, who is a Portuguese national, sadly passed away from a car crash. And you could see the Portuguese players were very affected by this when they did the minute silence. And Jessica Silva came out and said that, you know what, we weren't there.
Yeah, absolutely, and totally understandable. By all accounts, Diego Jota and his brother Andre Silva seemed like good people and were very involved in the Portuguese national setup. And so yeah, it clearly hit them hard, and totally understandably.
So let's talk about the first game first, though. So it was Italy-Belgium. Now, Italy surprised everyone by coming away with a 1-0 win here, because Belgium are the favourites to go second in this group.
Yeah, it felt like more than any other game in this tournament so far, this felt like a must-win, really, because I think the saying is that you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun the other campers. And Belgium and Italy very much felt like other campers, and Spain is the bear in that group. And so getting a point here, getting 3 points here rather, is maybe the most important 3 points we've seen thus far this tournament.
Yeah. So let's talk quickly about Belgium, and then we can talk about Italy. For me, again, Belgium, we're coming up against a lot of these teams where they have a key striker that you always want to watch out for, but it's only one, so they don't have anyone to really play against. And so for Belgium, it's Woolart. Tessa Woolart always changes how Belgium play. They play so much better when she's in the squad, and she was there for this game. But she again was pinging cross after cross into the box and wasn't getting any real service from her teammates.
Yeah, she was, as you say, she needed to be on the end of them as well. And yeah, they were quite disappointing, Belgium, actually, I thought, in this game. I was kind of expecting a bit more from them. You mentioned that they were favourites to kind of go second. I think, particularly from set pieces, they didn't offer all that much, which should be their bread and butter. But yeah, as I say, just a bit flat, really.
Yeah, and like Belgium have got some absolutely outstanding. They do have some outstanding players. Like, and again, if you follow the WSL, there will be names that you are familiar with. Amber Tisiaka, who is a West Ham defender. They had my absolute favorite player, just because I love her height and I love her name.
Which you're not going to say out loud.
No, I can't say it. Things I do love it. I like when because it's been announced she left Everton, and I just text my West Ham chat went, "Can we have the really tall Belgian, please?"
For reference, this is Justine van Havermaet that's being discussed.
Thank you. But again, she is tall. Why is she not in the box getting on the end of these wool art crosses? Like, it just felt like I feel like they underestimated Italy, because the last 3 times they've played, Belgium have trounced them, or they've come away with 3 points. I mean, and even we did in our roundup have underestimated Italy, because a lot of their players play in the Italian league, and it goes against what you're saying, Mike, in the fact that if they're going to be building the home league, then does that mean that we're now going to see a stronger Italy? Because a lot of their players played for Juve, they played for Fiorentina, they played for Inter and AC Milan, they played for Roma.
Yeah, and I think that is probably a benefit to them, really, is that they have these connections with each other. They know each other well. They play with each other on the regular, and I think in this game in particular, they also play against Tessa Woolart on the regular as well. And I think that massively helped. And it almost within the game, they were still kind of lulling Belgium into this false sense of security. It was almost like a rope-a-dope performance kind of early on, where they kind of sat very compact for the first sort of 20 minutes or so, and then really came out of the blocks after that as Belgium kind of looked to settle in. The game kind of very much moved away from Belgium as it kind of progressed, to the point where it looked much more like Italy were going to get a pile of more goals at the end than it did that Belgium were ever going to get back in it.
So let's talk about this Italian side. So it was Caruso who got the ball, and again, absolute rocket, top bins. It was the only goal of the game, but as you said, Italy could have had multiple.
Yeah, but certainly by the end, they didn't look in danger at all. They were very much the better team.
So could Italy be our dark horses? I'm not saying they're going to win the thing, but go much further than people think.
I think certainly in the first round, they've been the kind of most surprising package, haven't they? I think that's fair to say. To me, this game has been the most consequential, apart from the England-France game, in terms of how this tournament's going to shape out.
And also, do you want to comment on the Italian kit? Because we've all got opinions. Sarah loves it. Me and Chris hate it.
Oh, it's
Tim
atrocious.
is indifferent to it.
My only comment on the Italian kit is that multiple times when they cut to like the low angle shot, I thought that the goalkeeper was being pressed really, really aggressively, because it looks like a goalkeeper kit, which may say more about me and my poor eyesight and poor comprehension of what's happening around me. But I think that is something that should be noted.
So you've heard it here, folks. It's 3 against, 1 for, and 1 meh.
Should we wrap up by talking about the elephant in the room that is Spain?
Yes. So let's talk about the final game of match day 1, which was Spain versus Portugal. Spain took it 5-0, and they were 2-0 up within 8 minutes.
Yikes.
Like, I was late tuning in, so I turned it on, and they were already 2-0 up, and I was like, how? How has that happened? Like, I know Spain are good, but
yeah, they came out the blocks like lightning. It was quite distressing to watch. As someone who doesn't want Spain to win this tournament, it was quite a challenging viewing experience.
Yeah. So do you want to talk Spain first, or do you want to talk Portugal first?
Let's talk Portugal first.
Let's talk Portugal, because I felt for Portugal because they clearly wanted to do like a low block and like try and stop Spain from doing Spain things, and it didn't work. Because they had no output up top, because they did get some balls up. And the thing is, you've got to remember that Spain's number 1 goalkeeper is currently ill with tonsillitis, and it's not looking like she's going to be back for the second game either. So Portugal did have the firepower with the 2 silvers, but only one of them seemed to go up because they had so many players back. Like, they had a back 5 to try and defend against Spain.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for Portugal, the game plan was just decimated by that goal in the first or second minute. I think they clearly came in with a game plan to sit deep and frustrate Spain early on, and then see if they could snatch something on the break towards the end of the game, and that was just a plan that was blown to smithereens within the first 2 minutes. I think it was Emma Byrne on commentary again who kind of had these notes about how Portugal could defend from against Spain, and then kind of had to just say, well, but that's all gone out the window now because she was clearly still going to deliver her notes. But yeah, it was a bit of a hiding.
Portugal are really frustrating to me because, as we mentioned, in the last Euros, they came in unknown. They hadn't qualified. They got in because Russia disqualified. And they really took it to teams. Like, I remember watching them play the Netherlands, and they really frustrated and tormented the Netherlands in that tournament. We've seen flashes of brilliance from Portugal in Nations League, and then we've also seen them get battered by England 6-0. Like, there's no consistency in the team. And again, are we coming back to the fact that they have no real foundation because the Portuguese league, apart from Benfica, is non-existent?
Yeah, I think there might be a point there. They're also maybe a little bit of a victim of their own success in kind of doing so well in the Nations League that's got them promoted up into the top tier, and all that's happened there is they've just been smacked around by Spain, by England, even by Belgium in the Nations League. I think they've shipped 7 goals to Spain in the last couple of months. They've shipped 6 to England. Like, morale has to be quite low. They could have maybe they'd have been better served by staying in that division below and getting some runs on the board, as it were, getting the opportunity to score some goals.
I will say I thought their goalkeeper actually had a fairly decent game, despite letting in 5 goals. I thought Pereira actually made some decent saves, and because it could have been far more embarrassing for Portugal. But they have got a long road to go, because an Italy that seems to be firing on all cylinders, Belgium are going to want blood after their loss. It's not looking great for Portugal.
No, and we love an underdog. We host a podcast about the other 8 teams in the WSL. We're very much on the side of the underdog, but yeah, I think this one might be a bridge too far for Portugal. Shall
we talk about the giants that are Spain?
We can't put it off any longer.
We can't. And again, this is another team that you're tired. You're already 4-0 down, and then you're like, oh look, Bon Mati, who apparently had viral meningitis not 3 days ago, is now coming on to run us ragged. This Spanish team is naughty. It's absolutely ridiculous.
They're upsetting. Alexia Putellas is a double Ballon d'Or winner, and she's maybe the 3rd best player in the team, let alone with Bon Mati coming off the bench. Yeah, Esther Gonzalez looked in really good nick. As I say, if they can do that without Bon Mati, that's a worrying sign for the rest of the tournament.
That's the thing. I think the key piece has been their midfield. Like, that midfield with Caldente, Lopez, Putellas, and Pina just stopped any attack that the Portuguese even tried. Like, again, it's just naughty. Like, to be 4-0 up at half time.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing this is another example of a team that has a strong domestic core. I mean, obviously, it's mostly a Barcelona-based domestic core, but a domestic core nonetheless. They clearly have those relationships. You can see in the way they play that they're connected. They're building something, and that feels very player driven. We know we don't need to go into the Spanish FA and their nonsense, but that feels very player driven, and there's clearly a very strong core within the playing squad that you can really see on the pitch. It really shines through.
No, 100%. I will say, to give some credit to Portugal, they went down 4-0 at half time, and then in the second half, it didn't take until the 93rd minute before Spain got their 5th. So they managed to frustrate and hold them off for most of the second half.
That is true.
We've got to say, does it look like Spain are going to win this?
You certainly wouldn't bet against them. The stat was going around earlier this week that the chances of the team that wins the tournament coming out of that top half of the draw is pretty much a certainty at this point. How those stats break down, they're the best team, and they're in the best position to go on and do it. So they look worryingly strong. But it's football, so you never know.
So So, any highlights from match day 1?
Yeah, I mean, obvious highlight for me has to be Viv Miedemar's go-ahead goal in the Netherlands game. I think that's going to be a goal that is going to get played a lot, and it's just a kind of goal that can spark a tournament into life.
Yeah. Also, I enjoyed the celebration because she had 2 teammates, and they were both doing. So her and one of her teammates were doing the zeros, and then Kaspari. It looked like, what was she doing? Because she had like random fingers up, and like, you're not supposed to just be holding one up for like it to be 100. But she was actually spelling Vivi with her finger. So she's flicking the V in one hand and then got like her thumb up and then flicking the V as well. And it's like, what are you saying? Like 2300? Like, what are you doing? And it's
yeah, you gotta rehearse a celebration ahead of time if you're gonna do that.
I'm enjoying the emotion. It's not even a game thing. The emotion you're seeing with players and fans, specifically the Welsh fans, when they're singing the anthem. When the Welsh fans were singing the anthem and the players were there and the emotion, and I saw grown men crying at their women's team having qualified for a tournament, like, it's that coming together. As in, on pitch, it has to be, again, Viv's goal. Like, it was naughty. Again, it was the double dummy and then straight in the top corner. Like, it was just delicious goal.
Yeah, for sure. And it's moments like that create that buy-in that we really like to see, and that makes that emotion so heightened.
So that is it from us here at the Women's Soccer Show. Remember to check out our Patreon. There will be extra content up there. I've got a wonderful chat with Rhiannon, our favourite Scot. We're going to be talking all things Rangers. Also, what is going on with Hamilton Academicals. That seems to be a disaster waiting to happen. There's also going to be an episode of Fits and Kits. That's right. Chris and I talk all things Euros, and we rated our top 5 kits as well as our oh no of the tournament. I'll give you 5 guesses which kit we picked. We may have already talked about it on this podcast. So make sure you check out our Patreon for all of that wonderful stuff. Thank you so much for stepping in, Mike. It's been a blast to have you on the main show. You've made it into the big leagues, and now I'm going to ask you on air now. You can edit this out if you want, but I'm going to ask you on air now. Will you be my co-host and bring back the other 8 for the beginning of the WSL season?
You're goddamn right.
So yeah, that's another thing to check out on our Patreon as well. We will be talking all things WSL there when we do that. But as ever, thank you very much for listening. I've been Allie.
And I've been Mike.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.